Hi, my beautiful brothers and sisters. This is Mary Hernandez with part 3 of elements. And I put also known as, and I put planets, I put the stars, the moons, the sun, because that's also what it's been called. And science, just patent it, to make it look like the demonic entities is called matter in science. Remember, we learned that in school. Lies, all lies. It was a demonic world. Yes, even Saturn, they try to make it look all cool. It was all entities. They were just giving it a name. So it could be like, man, that's the stars. Oh, but even if you were to say, even if it was the stars and the moon, it's beautiful to look at, right? But why would you worship? You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at it and that's beautiful, but heaven, you would never, like, say, I worship it. Here, let me pray to the sun. Let me pray to the moon, like, it's just not right. Anyways, so it brought me to Kings 2:23-33. Pharaoh Necho put him in bands and in Riblah, but in the land of Hamath was that he may not reign in Jerusalem, but put the land of tribute, and 100 talents of silver and talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho was Eliakim, the son of Josiah, king in the room of Josiah is his father. He turned his name into Jehoiakim, that took Jehoahaz away, and he came to Egypt, and he died there. Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh, but taxed the land and gave the money according to the commandments of Pharaoh. According to the commandments of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and gold and people of the land, everyone according to his taxation, and he gave it over to Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And this is the mother's name was Sabuda, and the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. And he did, which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. You see it and you hear it over and over again. The betrayal from all of us, and from this world, and we got kings that are representing God, and then they serve the darkness, and then they wonder why they get dethroned. I mean, some of them, I don't even know why they lasted. Oh, I do know, because God said he had kept his promise to David. It was David that he made a covenant with. And then he ended that covenant because of the ugliness that was going on, and then reinstated it, which is where we're at now. 2Kings24. It says, in the days of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon came up. Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years, and he turned and rebelled against him. The Lord sent against him the bands of the Chaldeans, the bands of Syrians, and the bands of Moabites, and the bands of the children of Ammon, and it sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant and the prophets. Surely the commandments of the Lord will come upon Judah, to remove them out of the sight and the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did. Also for the innocent blood that he shed, that he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and all he did, they were not written in the book of Chronicles and in the kings of Judah. So Jehoiakim slept with his father, and Jehoiakim and his son reigned in his stead. Yeah, remember how King Jesus would always say, "Oh, they're asleep," Like if somebody said, "No, they're dead, they've been dead," and he said, "Oh no, they're asleep." Like, wake up, because he's got that kind of power. That's who our Creator is, our King. And the king of Egypt came not again anymore out of his land, and the king of Babylon had taken the river in Egypt, and the river Euphrates, and they retained it to the king of Egypt, Jehoiakim. He says was 18 years old when he reigned, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And the mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Alameth. Nah, sorry about that. Yeah, and Elnathan, there you go, of Jerusalem. It says, and he did which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father had done. At the time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, the king, and then there's Nebuchadnezzar. So there's two different ones. Of Babylon came up against Jerusalem in the city and besieged it. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came against the city and the servants and besieged it. And Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, went into the king of Babylon, and his mother and his servants, and the prince and the officers of the king of Babylon. He took him in 8 years of his reign, and he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut it to pieces, all vessels and gold, which Solomon, king of Israel, had made the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had said. And he carried away all Jerusalem, and the prince, and all the mighty men of valor, 10,000 captives, and the craftsmen, and seems to be remained, save Porus, the sword of the people of the land. And he carried away Jehoiakim in Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and the officers of the mighty land, and carried into captivity for Jerusalem, and to Babylon. It says, in all men, that might be 7,000, in all men of might, a mighty man of valors. It says, in all men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen, the smith of thousands, and all that were strong in the apart for war. And even then the king of Babylon brought captives to Babylon. For the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father brother, king of Stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah was 1 year old. It's so cute. Because remember I told you, instead of saying like 21 years old, it has it like 20 and 1 years old. And began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah, Libnah. Excuse me. And he did which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to Jehoiakim, what he had done. And for through the anger of the Lord it came to pass at Jerusalem, Judah, until he cast them out into the presence of Zedekiah, and rebelled against the king of Babylon. Give me a minute. I'll drink me some water real quick. That's pretty much right now where I'm at. 2Kings25. But as I came across the kings, as it going, how it reigned. If you read the Bible, God had always been looking for the right king woman, or king man, or king queen, to reign over and do right. Because at the end of the day, now it's gone further. Our territory has gone further. And now, we're going to have a lot more responsibility. But with that responsibility, God is in it. Without him, there is no peace. Without him, there is no unity. There is no healing of this land. And that's what he's healing. But that healing also has to start with you. You just need to get right with God. And I say this, at the end of the day, it's what the Creator wants and who he chooses. All this anger and jealousy and envy, and ain't going to do nothing but only make you miserable and bitter. I was there. Sisters, brothers, I understand. I was there at the beginning of this journey. I was bitter because I had went through. But that healing, ask him to heal you. You're like, you really look silly. We look silly. And it's really like anger and jealousy. And then we get on there and it's like, open your heavenly eyes, ask him to heal you and restore you and bring you a new you inside, like the healing out with the old and in with the new are always the renewing of your mind. Because at the end of the day, it's not what we want. You know, you can fight all you want, but have some type of self-respect. You know, have some type of self-respect. Don't be somebody that like, man, you know, be known as like that person that was bitter, that person that was mad, the person that was angry, that person, you know, you're going to be known as a villain in the Bible. We already have a real villain out there. Don't let that be the memory of somebody that's always going to have of you, at least in your family. You know, teach your kids right. You're growing your own tree. Let it be a positive one. Bear good fruit. You know, teach them right. And they're going to continue growing doing right. Not teach them hatred, not teach them, you know, bitterness and envy and, you know, almost to go after somebody because you're not getting what you want. You know, he's healing this world, you know, and that's a huge responsibility for each and one of us, you know, and your actions is going to speak how you will. And I say this in here, you read it. And he says he's always looking for the right leader, you know, and the people that fail continue fail because we try to do it our way. We try to, almost like when people become in power, you know, I get it. That power has to be an amazing feeling. And trust me, it is. But I'm glad he humbled me so I don't act a fool. So I don't sit there and fight evil with evil, but I fight evil with good. You know, and I'm glad he did that because it humbled me. Of course I laugh. Of course I'm silly. Of course I have my little carnal moments, you know, but I have to rebuke that, you know, but it's not evil. You know, it's like laugh a little when you still see people that are still fighting a battle that they will never win because you're going against what the Creator wants. You see that. You see some perish at the end, you know, and for what? Nothing, you know. It's just having self-pride, you know. And I wanted to close it up as far as if you heard when he was talking about Bethel. And it's the part of actually Amos. No, actually, yeah, it is Amos. It was Amos 4. It says, Israel has not returned to God, you know, and let that be for all of us because he's still waiting on you. He's still waiting on his sons and daughters. He's still waiting on this world, you know. Don't be too late to jump on that boat, you know. And you know how in there it talked about the ungodly entities. And you understand, it was in a lot of places. But with that being said, Amos 4, it says, hear the word, you cows of Bashan, Mount Samaria, you women who oppress the poor, crush the needy. You say your husband brings us some drinks, but the sovereign Lord has sworn by his holiness, the time will surely come when you will be taken away with hooks. The last of you will be with fish hooks. You will each go straight out through the breaches of the wall, and you will cast out towards Hebron, declares the Lord. Go to Bethel and sin. Go to Gilgal and sin, and yet more. Bring your sacrifices every morning, your tithes to every year. Burn living bread as the thank offering. Will brag to you in the free will of offerings. Boast about them to the Israelites. For what is your love to do, declares the sovereign Lord. I will give you empty stomachs in every city, like the bread of the town, and you have not returned to me, declares the Lord. You know, if you read all of it, it's him pleading. And then saying, the enemy don't have it like that. God has it like that. In Job, you hear it. He has to ask for permission. Can we approach and can we do this? And God's like, yep, go ahead and do this. Go ahead and do that. You know, but you hear the wrath of God. It's nothing. I mean, what the people have, what you guys are doing in this world now, the evilness and the wickedness to those that are doing evil and wickedness, is nothing compared to the wrath that he has in stored. And this is just a little thing, and that is for those entities that are in Bethel, in Gilgal. You hear that, and yet, you know, we still act like we're more afraid of them that are in the flesh, which are the chariots, you know, the power that we walk in as children of God. And yet somehow we give it to the world, the ungodly world, because we think they're more powerful, they're more strong. We should fear him. No, it says, do not fear him that could kill the flesh and the flesh only, right? They shoot you or whatever and you die. But it says, fear him that could kill the flesh and the soul in hell. You know, the enemy tends to make us think that the power that he got in, but if you really think about it, he had paid off people, you know what I'm saying, to make it look, and I read that to you in Amos, where he had read and he had pretty much had told the people to go scare Asa, you know, to go and scare him, to make him think that there was more of them than there is of us. You know, people were selling out left and right, and they were getting paid. You know, the last Bible is in Micah 4. And again, you know how I was talking about the planets, you know, Pluto, Jupiter, you know, Venus, all that is ungodly nations, ungodly gods, you know. And then it brought me, because you know how it had Gilgal, that they were sacrificing, you know, to the ungodly gods and whatnot, you know. And, you know, I'm thinking, you know, everybody might have thought that they were going after God's people and they were going to win and they were going to conquer whatever it was. But it didn't. It only made us. It made us, like, to me, it made me cling on to him more. Like, the more the enemy attacked, the more the haters attacked, the more I stood hooked in it. I said, I'm still doing something right. I said, I still am, because at times I tell you, it's still a testimony up until now, that I was like, man, you know, I really thought that this was it. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, I was done, you know, I wasn't with my ex no more, and he's gone. And then they were still coming at me. And I said, wait a minute, you know, what is going on here? I'm not even with this person anymore. But God allowed that thorn in there to keep me on my toes, you know, and even the things that we went through, trials and tribulations. So what do? We hang on to him because we know that he's our only answer. Not only to his children, but to this whole world, you know. But it's all in your belief system and faith system. Who are you going to give your power to? Who are you going to give that victory to? You know? You know, you read it over and over again, his plead, you know, over and over to all of us, you know, and how he's telling everybody. I was going to read I might as well just do it real quick. Micah 6. It says, listen to what the Lord says. Stand up, plead my cause before the mountains. Let the hills hear what you have to say. Hear you mountains, the Lord accusations. Listen to the everlasting foundations of the earth. For the Lord has a case against his people, lodging charge against Israel. My people, what have I done to you? How have I burdened you? Answer me. I brought you out of Egypt, redeemed you from the land of slavery. I sent Moses to lead you, and Aaron and Miriam, my people. Remember Balak, the king of Moab, plotted, and what Balaam, the son of Bora, answered. Remember your journey to Shittim and to Gilgal, that you may know the righteous acts of the Lord. With what shall I come before the Lord? Bow down before the exalted God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings and calves into the year old? It says, will the Lord be pleased with 1,000 rams, with 10,000 rivers of olive oil? Should I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for sins and soul? He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. What does the Lord require? I act justly to love and mercy and walk humbly for your God. It says, listen to the Lord that is calling the city. To fear your name is wisdom. Heed the rod of the one who appointed it. I'm still to forget your ill-gotten treasure, you wicked house, your short ephod, which is a curse. I mean, it's pretty much curse. Which I acquit someone with the dishonest scales, with the bag of false weight. You rich people are violent. Your inhabitants are liars, and your tongues speak deceitful. Therefore I begin to destroy you, to ruin you because of the sins that you will eat and not be satisfied. Your stomach will be empty, and you will store up this and save nothing, because of what you have saved. I will give you to the sword, and you will plant and not harvest. You will press the olives and not oil. You will crush the grapes and not drink wine, and you observe the statutes of the armory and the practice of Abraham's house. You will follow the traditions that I give you over to ruin. And you people are desertions and bear the scorns of the nations. It's our Father. We were cursed. I think sometimes, and I had to learn that in this journey, that we were thinking, oh, it's the witches. It's the devil. Yeah, the only thing the devil has to do is approach. It's on you. If you give into sin and you're worshiping other idols, well, then that's God's curse. Hello. The wrath of him is so much more powerful than what the enemy has for you. It's nothing. And it's still ugly what they had planned on doing for the people that are going to stay behind it from the rapture. But we're talking about God's wrath when he comes. The wrath of God is already happening right now with people that have done wrong to his children. And I'm going to be honest with you. I heard in the beginning of this journey, I actually heard two people. One was somebody that was trying to preach out there at the beginning of the journey in Egypt. And then the second one was actually a person that I knocked on the door. And they said that they were mad at God because God kills. And I said, the enemy kills, steal, and destroy. You know what I'm saying? The wrath of God for people that do evil. Yeah. It's a wrath of God back for the consequences for the sins. We're talking a demonic world. It's our true enemy is the devil, his minions that you guys sit there and hang out with, and God departs them from you, and still you welcome them into your house. You still walking them into wherever you're out and hang out with them as if they're your partner. And then God removes them, and you still allow them to come back and hang out with you. And they want nothing but evil. Even your own family do. Understand, don't be so desperate to want to hang out with people. Not right now. And ask God, remove people there from me that's stopping me from growing in a relationship with you. And he will do it. He did it for me. He set me apart. He removed me, which at the time I didn't know they were my family. I thought I was like the only girl, which I am, but like I would say I'm the apple of his eye because I am, but we're talking about that I found out I had family that I didn't know. And when he had parted me from them, he said, I set you apart, and I get what he did because there was people that were not right yet. People that still needed healing. See, people that were still in darkness, and people that were hanging out with darkness and darkness tell them attack her, do this, or sometimes it was their own demons. Nobody has that much evil in their heart to do that much to somebody that's never done anything to them. So that's something that you need to work on and ask God to heal you with, because you can make all the excuses why somebody did something, but you don't even know the person. You know of them, but have never been hanging out in a circle the way you all were hanging out there. I've always been set aside. I've always did my own because I just never really cared for people that I trusted people. I used to always have parties in my house, hang out people. But, I would always find my ex hanging out with my friends. You know what I mean? And then, we'll end up in a fight. So then I stopped that. I stopped having hangouts, parties, drinkovers, because I was like making it a meat market for him. You are doing that to your relationship. You are doing that to your marriage. And then when somebody comes along that they actually like, you get angry at that person. Why are you angry at that person? You've been allowing it for so many years, so many centuries. And because they found somebody that did take your husband or that did take your wife, you're all of a sudden you're angry. Why are you angry? You allowed it. I didn't. I'm telling you, I used to fight with my ex-husband because it would piss me off. I don't like to share my stuff. I don't know where you get Moses' law even said that. Moses' law never said that. People made it. Look, that's the renewal of your mind. That people say, what did Pharisees say? What did Nicodemus even said? We practice Moses' law. Moses' law never said that. It says no adultery. That means, if you have a Sancho or boyfriend, girlfriend, all that is against Moses' law, the 10 Commandments, which is God's law. And then we get mad at that person, but be mad at yourself because you allowed it. Don't think that somebody won't. You allow something into that house, it's going to come and tear a hole in your family because you're allowing it. Why would you chance that? And I did it. And that's what I'm telling you, don't do it. So that's when I stopped having get-togethers, and even though he still went along and did what he wanted, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you got to know that you got to set boundaries in your relationship, in your marriage. The world makes you think that they were not somebody, they're somebody. My husband, as I was waiting for him to come back home, we were on and off 15 years, and I was sitting there waiting for him to come back home. He already was moving in with his girl. He was already moved in. They were shopping for TVs for their house. Don't think that somebody won't come and take them, because they will. Don't think that you're ever too beautiful and too good, that they won't. Sometimes we don't even think about the way we treat the person that we love. Sometimes we don't think that we might make them feel less than, but whatever it is that you don't want, somebody else is praying for. Stick it out, make it work, and don't allow any foreigners in your house. Don't allow any heartless men or women, in your marriage like that. Don't learn the hard way like some people did out there and think that you're better than somebody, that I'm too beautiful, I'm too good, I got this, because there's always somebody better than you. And you allow it, and it's always how we treat people. Rather it was him treating me bad or I was treating him bad. I used to fight with him, but all that fighting never did nothing. He still used to take off. He would be gone Friday, come back Sunday if I was lucky. Sometimes be gone Thursday, Sunday. That's an awful feeling. Don't allow that in there. Set boundaries, set limits, respect morals. Have those respects and morals in the world. Just saying, we lost that, and we did. And allowing and trying to be cool and live like the world does. And the world was just setting you up to fail. And you allowed it. But with that being said, I will post that, just a little rant or something that I wanted just to share with you. And if Gilgal, you read it in there, it's also all the way in Micah 4, how he talks about Gilgal and all that. But with that being said, you have an amazing, amazing Thursday. Know that my Father loves you. I love you with the love of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Amen and amen.